Welcome to the RiceCast. I'm your host, Dan Pigsley. Sitting across from me is my friend and yours, Pastor Willy Rice. Pastor, how you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you, Dan.
Good day. I like the blue shirt today.
Oh, you're kind. Yeah,
I try to be. Yeah. Hey, today is actually a really cool day. We had a really incredible event here on our campus with ACSI and a bunch of schools coming up to our campus. You want to talk about that for
Yeah, there's always something going on around here.
Yeah.
And today was a big day with the ACSI is the Christian school organization umbrella that we are under, and this was a national ACSI sponsored event on Christian apologetics. Sean McDowell, who's authored several books, the son of Josh McDowell, who people know maybe from even a different generation, but Sean, of course, in his own right, is a great speaker and apologist. Sean was actually with us about a decade ago for an event, but good to have him back on campus, and then we had some breakout seminars, but about 1,600 kids, I was told, registered for this. More than 25, I think, Christian schools. One as far away as Ohio.
Really?
Which I don't blame folks coming from Ohio to Clearwater in March.
Yeah.
It's a good deal.
Yeah.
And so as far away as Ohio and across the state from Orlando and other places, we're here today. And it's been a great day to see God working and moving.
Yeah. Could you imagine taking a bunch of students from Ohio down to Florida, though?
That's a challenge.
That's a thing. That's a thing. Yeah, that's for sure.
That's a thing.
Yeah. But hey, it's really cool because we have a great facility where we can host things like this too,
Absolutely. It's to be able to do this. People sometimes don't know how much actually happens in that worship center, other events. And a lot of it is with the school. If you think it's just being used on Sunday, but the school, Calvary Christian High School, is in there every week and sometimes twice a week. Mm-hmm. And then when you have events like this, sometimes multiple events, and then other events are held in there also. So it's a very used room, and it was certainly used today, and we praise God. Great conference.
What I love when I'm up here at the Clearwater Campus too, you can walk through the worship center, and more often than not, the worship ministry classroom is in there with Pastor Kyle, and they're rehearsing and just watching these kids just utilizing just that room and that space just to hone their gifts that they've been given. It's just a really cool thing to see.
There's always something going on around here.
So when you kind of became when you came in view of a call here, that worship center didn't exist.
That's right. We moved here in December of 2005.
Okay, yeah.
And so last year we celebrated 20 years on the campus here at McMullen and Drew. So the first Sunday there was, I think, December 18th, 05. I remember it because it was literally the week before Christmas. Mm-hmm. And the next week was Christmas Day in the worship center, and the next week was New Year's Day in the worship center, and then I think the next week we did a dedication. So we kind of had a couple of weeks. We had 4 big weeks to come in there, but we've been in it 20 years.
That's pretty awesome. And again, people may not know this, but you actually, as a young man, grew up coming to Calvary.
Right.
What was that like to leave the downtown Clearwater campus?
It was emotional.
Yeah.
It was emotional for me because, it was a beautiful building. It was a historic building. And I had so many good memories there. And my heart still goes back there. I was married in that room. Mm-hmm. I was married there. I preached one of my first sermons there. Just so many things like that. Saw people saved and moved there. I know my brother was saved there. So when you have a room like that you have so many God moments, to walk away was, there was an emotion. Now, by that time, there was overwhelming consensus of the church we needed to move from downtown Clearwater. We were out of parking. We were cramped in. There were a lot of difficulties. Of course, the people live out on the East Clearwater area. They weren't really living in downtown Clearwater. And so, downtown is a unique phenomenon, which is another topic, I suppose. So we needed to move, but was always a part of me. I've said, I don't know if I've ever said it publicly, but I've said it privately. If we'd have known about the campus model, it's only 20 years, but honestly, very few people were doing this. We hardly knew anything about it. If we had known about it and you could go far enough back, it would have been nice to maybe keep some footprint downtown, to have the downtown campus and then just have the campus out here that would grow and flourish. But I don't know we would have seen the growth and flourishing out here. We wouldn't have had the resources to do the things that we have done out here. But I have great memories of that downtown campus for sure.
It's incredible. And I actually never got the opportunity to visit downtown Clearwater campus. I was a senior in high school when we moved into this building that we have now. So 20 years ago. So
20 years.
That's an incredible thing. What do you remember your first sermon at this in this campus?
I could remember it. It was it'd take me a minute. It was it was in Corinthians somewhere, and it had to do with building the house, but we're building the church. But I can't think of the exact text and verse. But I have it, but I don't. I'd have to go look it back up.
You've preached one or two sermons since then. So,
a couple, yeah.
Well, now we're in a season. We've now been in this worship center for about 20 or for over 20 years now.
Right.
And the Lord is blessed. Do you if you had give me your top memory right now, if you can think of something that you've seen in this.
Married my daughter in that room, although we haven't put a lot of weddings in that room because it's so big, and now we have the chapel for that. But, that was a special memory. I think that first Sunday, I don't know that I have a singular memory. We have so many moments of worship, so many Christmas Eves, so many Easters, all those are so special. But I remember when we got in there, it felt like, okay, we've turned a corner. Mm-hmm. It was like, our church needed some healing during that time. We'd come through, people were in those days, there had been a period of struggle, maybe a year or so at Calvary. And when we came in, we began praying that the church would return to health. Mm. And so about my first year and a half, we were still downtown, and we were trying to build the things to return to health. And it was something about when we got out here, the first Sunday or two, you looked around and you thought, okay, this is what we were working for. And it kind of catapulted us up in a way that maybe faster and bigger than would have happened if it hadn't also been a relocation. Mm-hmm. So there was a great moment, and I remember it very, very well. I remember celebrating 150 years. That's 10 years ago. I remember that service when you had people from the past, former pastors. A former pastor was here, but a lot of pastoral staff and people that I hadn't even met came back, and that was a really special night. So a lot of special nights.
I'm sure we have people that listen to the podcast too that can remember being in downtown Clearwater.
Oh, I hope so. I don't know. Hope they're podcast people, but even today, as many years as it's been, you would still see hands go up of people who remember that. Mm-hmm. And of course, we have the stained glass from downtown and a lot of the artifacts that we put in the chapel here. But for those of us who had, it's not that the space is sacred. What makes the space sacred is that you have sacred moments in the space. Now, I think the space can be conducive to sacred moments, but it's the moments, it's what happens in the space. Yeah. You can have a beautiful church. If you don't have the Holy Spirit and God moments, it doesn't matter. But we had so many God moments in that where, we just look back and know the Lord spoke. It was holy ground to us in a way because we met the Lord there. And now this has become holy ground. We meet the Lord here in so many ways, so many beautiful services, so many salvations, so many baptisms. I don't know how many baptisms we've had in that room. And you look back and just over the last 20 years in that room, and we're grateful to God. It's been very usable, been very functional. But now we're on the verge of a big new chapter.
Yeah, we really are. And we started talking about this chapter, I want to say like 6-7 months ago. I think it was in December. So it was 4 months ago.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for longer than that.
Yeah.
Really, it's been actually part of our X150 initiative going back 3 years ago, where at some point we said, hey, when we get the funds, this is a goal we want to do. And it was actually voted in our last X150 initiative. So that goes back about 3 years that the church said, yes, this is a good thing. Let's move in this direction. But we also knew it would be the outlier because we knew it was a big cost, and we knew we needed to get through other things. So it wasn't the priority. It wasn't the first thing we did. It's really the last thing. But now here we are at the tail of X150, and it needs to be done. We've reached 20 years, and so Clearwater Worship Renovation is about ready to happen. You're referring to, we had a special called meeting in December, and that's where we back in June, we talked about it at the annual members meeting, and we said, hey, we need to get some refined and better pricing before we approve anything, which is good because it took a little work.
Yeah, right.
And then we had a special called meeting in December that people will remember, where we voted to authorize the budget and to move forward in the renovation of the building. It was a catch-all big motion, and we voted that night to move forward. And now here we are, and we're ready to announce kind of some dates and some details about it.
I'm excited about that. And so I know that, those dates and details are coming. I don't know if we're doing it on the podcast. I don't know if you're ready.
Yes, we're ready. Yes, we're breaking news on the podcast.
Man, if we have like a little banner,
We could do a little banner. Breaking news. We want to share it.
Well, that's exciting. But I just want to, before we get to that breaking news, I just think it's so important too to realize like this is a monumental thing for our church family.
It's going to be big.
And I think it's important just to realize like, man, a lot of great ministry has been done here, and it's going to continue to happen here on this campus as the Lord continues to provide. What we're seeing now is this initiative to move forward with revitalizing or just renovating the Clearwater campus. Why do you think that's important?
Yeah, it's a great question. This is not a desire just to have something better or newer or opulence or anything like that. There were two things that we knew. We knew this was coming. If anybody owns or manages any kind of property, you know that at some point you're going to have to take care of it. Mm-hmm. So we always said it's a stewardship issue. I've always used stories like every one of us have walked into a hotel and we look around and go, this probably was really nice at one point, but boy, they haven't taken care of it. Mm-hmm. They haven't taken care of it. And when I was a boy, they were thinking about, the Vinoy in downtown St. Pete. There was a lot of, maybe we'll tear it down. If you go there now, it's a beautiful hotel. Beautiful, you'd want to go for lovely dinner, spend a weekend or something. Don Cesar at one point, which is a famous hotel in our county. At one point, they thought about tearing it down, maybe. And so they're beautiful structures, but if you don't take care of them over time, they age. Mm-hmm. They age. And just think about your house. If you're in a house for 10, 20 years, you're going to do, at some point, some renovations. If not, you're going to look around in 20 years and go, wow, we need some updating. And it's not a desire to be opulent or extravagant, but carpet wears out, chairs wear out, furniture wears out. And it's a matter of stewardship. There's nothing spiritual about not taking care of what God has given you. Mm-hmm. You have to manage it. You have to take care of it. So I've often said, how many people in your, just people who are listening can say, how many people in your house, your carpet is more than 20 years old? Maybe some, but probably not a lot. Most people are, if your carpet's that old, probably somebody's going,
it's time.
It's either the husband or wife going, hey, come on, it's time. If the furniture is that old, all of it, probably somebody's going, okay, you know what, this was really nice, but now it's not. And 20 years goes by fast, but everyone knows you have to take care of your possessions. They last longer when you care for them. And if you don't care for them, you wake up one day and go, wow, you didn't, something went wrong. And or we've been to a restaurant or nobody's upgraded the decor in 20 years. And at some point you realize, something needs to be done. And there's nothing spiritual about saying, well, we didn't want to spend the money. We're very frugal. Yeah, well, you can be frugal and I want to spend the money. And at some point, the chair is going to start breaking. Mm-hmm. And, you can go in the Clearwater Worship Center and, there's duct tape on the carpet in some places. There's tears in the carpet. We've had chairs. We long quit trying to fix all the chairs when the arms broke off of them because it was not cost effective. It would cost us a lot of money. They kept breaking. Mm-hmm. So, we have a few chairs where the arms aren't right. But that's just going to happen. Things wear out and they run down. So it's a stewardship issue, number one. We want to have a space that is good for the next 20, 25 years. And the other is, we said it's a worship issue. We wanted a space that was conducive to worship. And every generation needs to ask, okay, what are we trying to do in this room? And 20 years ago, we didn't design the building. We kind of inherited the design, and that's not a shot. It's just a fact. Mm-hmm. But even if we had designed it, maybe we would have designed it exactly the same way. But when you look at the lighting and the colors and a lot of things, it was right on the tail end of that stage where you were really trying to do something kind of almost benign. You didn't want too much imagery or symbolism. And so it was kind of almost a change from downtown Clearwater. It felt very much like a secular auditorium, and at the time, that's kind of what people were trying to build. But over the last 20 years, we thought, we kind of missed something there, and so we really wanted a room that communicated what we believe about worship. We wanted a room that was brighter, for instance, light is better than darkness. We wanted it brighter. We felt like the colors absolutely needed to be updated. So in addition to just fixing the things that needed to be fixed, we also wanted to communicate some things about worship to another generation. And there's equipment. Honestly, there's some equipment, I'm told, I don't run the equipment, but lighting and sound, there's some equipment that we brought from downtown Clearwater. They told me, and if they're lying, this is between them and the Lord, but I've been told by our technical people there's several pieces of equipment still being run by a floppy disk.
That's accurate.
That's accurate.
Yeah.
A floppy disk.
Yeah.
Now, we've got kids in the high school over here. They don't know what that is.
Right.
A floppy disk. What is that? They've never seen one. It's in a museum. It's in a museum and over there at Calvary Baptist Church. So I'm surprised anything is still being run by a floppy disk. But you have equipment. You know, we have added some new equipment in the last 20 years, obviously. But there are some of the lighting and some of the techno pieces that have been very, very dated. We actually brought them over from Clearwater. So, you know, they break, we replace them. It's time for an upgrade. And so the question, as I said in December, was not if you're going to do this. It's simply when you're going to do it. And if we said, no, not right now, well, then you're going to have to come back in 5 years and do it. And it's not going to be less expensive in 5 years, and it's not going to be easier. So, you know, I don't know how you know when the perfect time is to do it. Who knows what the perfect time is? But it is going to have to be done. And we just felt like, okay, now that we finished the 10-year X-150 run, let's take a year and try to do this. Yeah. So that's what we're doing.
Well, I just want for maybe people who are listening or that will get little clips of this podcast today, they might be sitting there saying, like, I don't know much about Calvary. Like, why did it take you 20 years to say, hey, now's the time to do this?
Yeah. Again, what is the right time? Is it 18 years? Is it 23 years? There's no perfect time. Maybe you build something and it might last 30 years. But at some point, you're going to have to replace the seating. You're going to have to replace the technical equipment. It doesn't. Most of you are not using a 20-year-old computer. Right. People get their computer's 6 months old and they're like, oh, I need a new one. I need the new one. Well, we're not like that. We've been using stuff, again, some stuff for over 20 years. But so we think we've been frugal. We try to be cost aware, and we didn't just do it because, we got nothing else to do. We knew it needed to be done. And now seems like the right time because, again, we've been in a 10-year run. Our people have given. They've given so generously. And so now we just wanted to say, can we just focus on this piece this year and see if we could knock it out? And it's going to be a challenge. Now, we could talk about the budget maybe because we people are asking. It's going to be a $9 million project. We have the final budget, the all-in cost, including some of the cost to facilitate worship for the next 6-7 months. We had to have some equipment. So it's right at, you put all that together, and it's just a hair over $9 million, like $9,075,000 and something. So that's about what we said in December. We had said up to $9 million, and it's going to be right there. So we have already begun setting aside money for that. We have already spent about, I was told this week, about $500,000 in terms of advanced planning and ordering things. And we have about $1.6 million in the bank right now towards it. So about $2 million of the $9 million has already been raised or already accounted for.
Way to go.
So we're off to a good start.
That's awesome.
We're off to a really good start without doing any kind of big promotional or anything. But in order to get there and to pay for it by the end of the year, we're going to need people to give. And so there is an opportunity to give. We have a designated account that's online that people can give directly to the Clearwater Worship Renovation. They can mark it. It's online. If people give to X-150, after we're able to take care of the existing mission partnerships, any of the overage will go to help us fund this as well. So we're hoping people will kind of give into overtime. Just keep giving to X-150. And, our prayer would be by the end of the year we have it paid for. Now, that would take some doing. We're going to need some big gifts to make that happen, and we haven't really talked about it a lot, so we'll talk about it here. We're going to need some big gifts for that to happen. But there may be somebody listening to this or somebody who hears about this, and they've been looking for a way to make a legacy gift, a gift that's going to make a difference for many, many years. And they love our church, and they love the ministry in our church, and we're going to need some significant gifts. So I hope people will give as they're able to give over and above this year. We're not doing a big campaign. We're just asking people to give. So we have about $2 million already that is in the bank. We need about $9 million to do it. So you can do the math. We got a little bit to go. Yeah. But hopefully this year people will give. And we have the end of the budget year. We have the end of the calendar year. And hopefully we'll have it substantially paid for. Hopefully we'll have it completely paid for. But we'll see where we're at.
Well, it's so incredible because the people of Calvary have always been generous givers. Just thinking through just the entire X150 campaign, our Clearwater campus wasn't just sitting on their hands. No, we went out and Eastlake happened, Seminole happened, Crystal Beach happened, Safety Harbor happened, Espanol happened, and now we're saying, okay, this is incredible. God's doing incredible things. Now let's look back inside for a second.
Yeah, and it's not even looking inside. It's just how do we further the mission?
Sure.
How do we further the mission? But I understand that, and I preach to that. It's every one of our campuses has either had a new or substantially renovated worship center in the last probably 10 years, maybe. I'm not sure. Safety Harbor had done a lot to theirs when we got there, but we've done a significant amount of work in there also. New roof, new systems, a lot of things. And there's still work needs to be done there. There's still work needs to be done. Seminole, as you know, but there was a significant renovation there. Clearwater, Crystal Beach, significant. Eastlake, a completely new campus and a new building. So all of the campuses have had significant investments, and we need to be able to do this at Clearwater, and we think it will facilitate our worship and ministry. As we said, it's not just on Sunday, although we have 3 services on Sunday. It's not just the Sunday services, but it's things that go on during the week, and our school is in there once, twice, and sometimes more times a week. So it needs to be done, and here we go. We're about ready to do it.
And I'm excited about it. So let's do this. When?
Yep.
When are we doing this?
So this is kind of breaking news this week. We had to wrap some things up in some meetings earlier this week so I could announce this, and this may be the first time we've publicly released this. It was what we've been talking about, though. We want to be back in. That we started with the back end. When do we want to be in? And we'd like to be in by Christmas. Wouldn't that be nice? Great. So we said we asked our team, what would it take to get in by the 1st of December? And the answer is, we got to get in it as soon as we can after Easter. So we're actually going to start the day after Easter. So we're announcing today that, and by the way, we have our permits ready to go. We already have that. So we're announcing today that the day after Easter we begin. So Easter Sunday, we'll have our normal Easter services, that we have a special schedule in all our campus. There'll be a Saturday night service at Clearwater and then 3 on Sunday. But that'll be the last one in the worship center until the Christmas season. So that's it. April 5 is it. We kind of lock that door, let the guys go to work. They start pulling out the chairs. They start pulling out the equipment. And the following Sunday, we execute our new plan, which I know we're going to talk about that. So this all begins on the day after Easter. Easter's it. Take a picture. That's it.
How are you, you've been preaching at that pulpit for a very long time. How does that feel to know, after Easter, everything's about to be?
We're a little scared. It's a little scary. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. It's a little scary. And our staff has been working on this for months. What is the plan? I mean, this was asked when we first started getting serious about this about a year ago. What is the plan? And we looked at a lot of things. I could go over all the plans we looked at. We considered a lot of possibilities. There are not a ton of possibilities that are options, but we considered several, I can assure you. But we've come up with one that we think is the best plan. Now, it won't be without inconvenience. It won't be without difficulty. But let me tell you why I think it's the best plan. It's the best plan because we don't have to alter our Sunday morning schedule. So if you come at Sunday morning at 8 o'clock to the chapel service, as we have a number of people that come, they won't notice any difference. It stays the same. Walking through the lobby, you'll notice the difference. But other than that, the chapel service at 8 is still the same. Then we have a 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock service that right now meets in the worship center. We are still going to have our worship at 9 and 11 o'clock. So everything else can stay the same. Well, where's it going to be? We're using, right off of our lobby is our old gymnasium. And there's part of that has been known as a Williamson room, which is a large room renovated for meeting space, like all-purpose space. And part of it's kind of like an activity room that our school still uses. But you can open it up and we're opening it up. We're actually taking out some of the things we had put in there to create a barrier temporarily, but it's to create the best space we can have. We've studied it. We've already set it up. We know what it looks like. So we're going to have a stage in there, a screen in there, and we can put 600 chairs in there. Now, our worship center has about 2,000 chairs, but we can put 600 chairs in that room. Then in the lobby, which is right outside the door, in the major big lobby, we can set up 500 chairs. And there will be a big screen there. There will be sound there. It'll be a great space. And so between those two spaces, we have 1,100 seats. It'll be tight, but by having those twice, along with our chapel service, we believe there's enough seats to do it. Now, there won't be as much extra space as there now is. We'll need people to scoot over some and be okay sitting next to people. And the first 600 people get in the room there where it's going to be our makeshift worship center for the next 7 months. So the first 600 in there, and then we'll say, hey, it's full. And then the next 500 can sit in the lobby. But, the lobby will be a nice area because comfortable. The coffee area is right over there, and, maybe people will treat it a little more casually. They can sit there. The sound will be great. The sights will be fine. We're all really there in the same basic area. You'll just be looking at a screen instead of looking at me on stage. And I don't look any prettier in person than I do on the screen. Yeah. And I'm literally right there. I'm like in the next room, but you'll be in the lobby looking at a screen and participating in the same worship. So we'll all be there before the service, after the service. We'll all be mingling. You'll see all your friends. But if you want to be in the room, the first 600 will get in there. The next 500 will be in the lobby. And we believe that we can do it. It will be a little tight, but we believe that we can do that with the chapel. And if you want to start coming to the chapel service, you can. And if we run into problems, then we'll adjust accordingly. But it'll be a little tight. Look, it's going to require some patience and some flexibility, and it's going to be an inconvenience. Let's just be honest. But I also think it's going to be exciting. You know what? Change is good for us every once in a while. It'll change us up. It'll feel a little bit different. We'll be kind of packed in there on each other. But there will be enough seats for everybody. So please don't stay home and say, well, I'm going to watch it on the screen. It'll probably look a little different on the screen if you do. We want you to come. We have enough seats for you to come. And we'll make this work. And we will start the day after Easter. Our goal from the contractor, again, there are things sometimes that happen outside your control. But our team is really good. They've planned this really well, and our contractor is really good. And as long as there are and we've even built in a little margin, but as long as there's no unforeseen difficulties, we really do think we can be in by the 1st of December.
Which that's an incredible thing to even begin to fathom, is just in 7 months we'll be able to walk into a brand new worship center. What are some things that you're excited about the new worship center? Like, we've shown the drawings, we've shown the pictures. Yeah. What are some things that you're excited about?
Well, first of all, brighter. Yeah. We just wanted it brighter. We wanted people to see one another. We wanted to feel the community. So the colors are brighter. The lights are brighter in terms of just in the community. I think I'm excited about the baptistry. We moved the baptistry down to the platform a few years ago because of the big screen and some other things. And so it's kind of been a makeshift baptistry. We've done with it, but it's kind of makeshift. The new one is beautiful. I mean, it's going to have a beautiful where people can walk in and walk out. It costs a little bit to do that, but it's going to be a really nice piece. And behind it is going to be stained glass, and it's going to be stained glass from the old downtown historic building. So we're going to be able to reposition or repurpose some of that stained glass. So it'll be a very conducive baptistry area with changing area right next to that. So that's going to be really, really nice. And of course, just having the comfort of new seating and sound, that'll be also very nice. So we just think it will be very conducive to worship.
I think it's such an important thing to be doing right now, Pastor. And I appreciate you being so willing to share a lot of these details right now on the podcast. If you were just to give just 2 clear directions to our people right now, as we're about to, kind of go on this venture together for the next 7 months, what are the 2 clear directions you think you'd give to them?
Oh, I'd just say, please be patient and flexible. I'm going to put that into one. It's our attitude. We all know what construction looks like. If you drive around the roads of Pinellas County, we're in a perpetual state of construction. And, it can be inconvenience. Right now, driving north on US 19 has been inconvenient. Barriers, barricades. But we also have lived, most of us, long enough to see when a project gets completed and how wonderful it is. I remember when the Bayside Bridge was completed. And then just in the last year, that little exit that takes you down to 75,
fantastic.
that's fantastic, especially getting south for you.
It's great. Yeah.
But for a long time, it was a mess. We're not going to be in a mess that long, about 7 months. And it'll be a mess. But I would just say, be patient. It's okay. Laugh through it, grow through it. It's a short, temporary season, and on the backside of it, it's going to be so much better. You're going to love it, and we'll be there by Christmas.
Yeah.
So let's just be flexible, and let's let God work through this season. Let's, sometimes just a change of where I'm at leads to a change of perspective. We always tell the staff, a change of place, a change of pace equals a change of perspective. And so I don't know that we're changing the pace, but we're changing the place. It's going to feel different. And you know what? It may feel a little weird, but at the same time, you may meet new people. You may sit in a different section, and you might find yourself enjoying it. And so let's just be patient. Let's be flexible. And then I guess the second thing is we do need everybody's help. We want to pay for this. We don't want to add long-term debt. And so this year is going to be a challenging year. As I said, it's going to be about a $9 million project, and about $2 million of that is either given or already in the bank. So we got a little bit of a gap there. So we need people to give generously. We need people to believe in this project and realize that it's really a generational investment. I'm not investing in something that is just going to be nicer and newer. It will be, but I'm investing in a place where people will preach the gospel, they will worship, ministry will be conducted in our church, in our school for 25 years, for another generation. If we do a good job of it, maybe it lasts longer than that. Maybe it lasts 40 years. So we're going to try to do a really good job of it, and I think it'll be fantastic. I think people will be very pleased. I think it will be a very great room, conducive to worship. And as you know, all of our campuses use that room. We all come together for, just like we're going to do at Good Friday and other times. So we've got a couple events here in the next month. And we're announcing today that construction begins the day after Easter. And so you'll come on Easter Sunday. The following week, it'll be our normal schedule, but a different place.
Yeah. Well, Pastor, I appreciate you just sharing all that with us today. As we kind of wrap up today, just one thing. If you are listening right now, just pull out your calendar. If you're next to your fridge, write it on your fridge, or in your bathroom, write it on your mirror. March 29th.
Yep.
March 29th, Palm Sunday. We want everybody who's anybody to be here on our Clearwater campus that evening for our X150 celebration. I'm going to say at the end of every podcast this month,
great.
Please, please, please make a plan to be here, because it's going to be
a great night.
Incredible night.
Jeremy Westbrook's coming back by the way. The Westbrooks will be with us, and so Jeremy will be with us. That's going to be great. He'll speak a little bit, but we're going to share. It's not a night really of preaching, but of sharing testimonies. We're putting some stuff together. It's fantastic. I promise you. And we're going to celebrate the end of X150. It's the end of X150, the 160th birthday of our church. All of our campuses together, Palm Sunday night. Do not miss it.
It's going to be fantastic. Well, know that we love you. We're praying for you often here on the RiceCast. We'll see you here on the RiceCast next week, but we'll see you in person on March 29th here at our Clearwater campus. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.